Happy Magic Monday. This is Virgo Queen, your transformation coach, connecting you with the cosmic energy of the week from June 11th to June 17th, 2018. As you know, I love working with the planets and specifically the moon. The moon is what opened the doorway to living my magical life once again. And before I begin the journey of the forecast of the week, I wanted to share a memory that spoke to me this week while going through my own personal transformation. As you know, as we are constantly awaking and shifting into this more galactic consciousness, we're still remembering a lot of the stories of the old. And we go through personal transformations every day, just as the planets move every hour or so throughout our day. So we're constantly being shifted on an hourly basis. So what I wanted to share with you is that I have this very vivid memory of when I was a little girl and I was outside in the lawn, so the front garden, and I was with my trusty dog. He was much older than I was. He was 18, I think that's like 100 something in dog years, blind, barely could hear, but he protected me in all these incredible ways. And why I wanted to share this is that I have this memory of sitting there with him, and I felt like I was talking to myself, but I was talking to the bigger part of myself. And I said out loud as a little girl, "Nicole, do not forget who you are. In this moment, this is who you are." And it just burst me awake once again to have that recall of that memory of being so sure of who I was, so clear that I am of spirit, that I am of both this world and all the worlds combined. And although I didn't have the intellectual understanding of what any of that meant, I had the purity of it. And it's a memory that I'm waking up to more and more every day. For we all have gone through the moment of forgetting. And why I'm bringing this up is that we are in an intense week ahead. We have a new moon in Gemini. We have some very intense cards happening, and we really need to anchor onto the original source of who we are. So, where I usually like to begin with this weekly cosmic forecast is looking at the moons, because the moons tell us how we're going to feel this week. The moon is simply what is going on within, and whatever is on within, we're going to witness on the outside. We're going to see it in our conscious, because we're not, as much as we can be aware and conscious of our subconscious, it really isn't witnessed until it's felt, experienced, and expressed. So that's why we look to the moon, because the moon represents who we are within. So we begin with Magic Monday on moving into Gemini. During the weekend it was in Taurus, so we might have felt a bit overindulgent, very drawn to the finer things of life, which now that I reflect, yes, it was quite a weekend of being outside in nature and being in the lakes and having all this delicious, healthy food. It was quite lovely. So, Magic Monday, Gemini. And Gemini will be here, obviously, until about Thursday. So we have a huge new moon in Gemini on Wednesday, the 13th. So new moon Gemini, this is really a time to really speak your truth, to express who you are. But again, as I shared with you earlier about the source, Gemini is really focused on source energy, universal energy. It's not about the intellect of ego. Even though Geminis can appear very ego, it's really, or heady, I want to say, not egotistical, but they're just very heady, they're very intellectualized. But it's when they expand to the galactic wisdom is when all ego dissolves and they are expanded to that universal consciousness. So, how to do that in our everyday lives? Well, instead of letting the ego or the old subconscious mind rule, we need to have more of a conscious effort in how we move forward and how we want to communicate our life. Then Thursday, Friday, and into Saturday, the moon is in Cancer. So we're going to go from this very expanding consciousness into back into the emotional body, back into feeling. Our Cancer really likes to hold on to karma and to old pain and old suffering. But they're also incredible healers. And so through acknowledging the pain and the suffering, and when they express it through creating self-love, self-discipline, and really creating boundaries. Cancer, you learn a lot about boundaries because they are so sensitive. They just have this really strong no or yes. They're just really clear on what feels good and what doesn't. And that's such a gift, as sometimes it can feel very overwhelming. It's a huge gift to have. But by Sunday, we have Leo in the moon. So we will want to celebrate all the emotions and intellect and all the things that we explored during the week. Sunday is a time to celebrate and to enjoy. And I also like to call in the goddess energy. But before I do, I wanted to share. So I read these moon energies from the Wee Moon calendar. And there's all sorts of different resources that you can reach out. But this is my favorite. This is a tradition that I do every year, is getting my Wee Moon calendar. And at the beginning of the week, they have this little poem that I'd like to share with you. Pachamama entreats us to restore her clean waters, allow the singing of the birds to bring peace to her skies, renew cosmic harmonies on our sacred land. And I really feel that this is our intention for the week. And the goddess that will help invoke this energy. So I always list the moons and then we call in the goddess. When we are struggling or when we are trying to find the way through this cosmic energy, we need a guide. And this guide will be Kuan Yin, the goddess of compassion. Release judgments about yourself and others, and focus on the love and light that is within everyone. Gentleness is the strength behind true power, and it comes from feeding yourself with nourishing words, thoughts, deeds, intentions, and all forms of food. Shield yourself from harshness by placing an intention to attract only kind and gentle life lessons and relationships. Transform harshness into gentleness by refusing to see anything but the shining light that's within each person and situation. This intention begins with your relationship with yourself. Be very gentle with yourself in all ways. Be happy, be kind, be sweet, but most of all, be true to you. So various ways you can integrate this is to release guilt and shame to heaven for healing and transmutation. Keep your thoughts about yourself and others positive. Avoid gossip or bad mouthing of yourself or others. Forgive yourself or another. Don't be so hard on yourself or others. Release perfectionist tendencies. Now, Kuan Yin is an Eastern goddess. She hears our prayers and is the essence of purity, nurturing love, and gentle power. Kuan Yin is eligible for Buddhahood, yet she has vowed to stay near Earth until all beings are enlightened. This youthful and beautiful goddess helps us to feel compassion and mercy towards ourselves and others. She's also a protectress of women and children, and she awakens musical interests and abilities as well as psychic clairvoyance. Oh, we all need a little Kuan Yin in our lives right now, especially looking at the week ahead. Now, I really get in tune with what the energy will be this week when I look at my Mother Peace tarot cards, because they hold the energetic aspects that are going on within. And the overall energy for the week by Mother Peace is the Tower. Well, the Tower is a very intense energy. It's life-changing. It's breaking down all old stories, old barriers, cleaning out the psyche, changing your life, and making space and room for something new. And often, as we are creatures of habits, being of humans, we tend to feel that change might change us too much. And if we are unrecognizable to ourselves, then how can we be ourselves? And this is what the Tower has you questioning. But if you surrender to the Tower and let them show you who you are, then it is quite a magical journey. The Tower has a lot of Pluto and Uranus energy, and again, it's breaking down the old psychic patterns, breaking down the subconscious vehicle, is not allowing you to live the life that you truly desire. And all of this is because, we can be as conscious as possible, but it's when our subconscious is still holding on to the trauma and the pain and the fear that's when we need the Tower to come in and just shake us awake. Now, the conflict for the week is reverse moon. Now, we had moon last week, and that was intense. But now we have reverse moon. So last week we had to trust our intuition and to follow a bigger purpose, a bigger soul calling. We had to follow the mystery of our soul. And now this week, our intuition is blocked. We're the ego's getting far too in the way. We're trying to do. I mean, being in the head, we do tend to kind of lose connection to our intuition. We often think intuition is in the head, but it's in the body mind. And reverse moon is we're going on the dark night. We're going within a mystery in something that we do not know. We are going to be changed forever. Our whole world is changing around us, but we constantly, isn't it interesting that all the stories talk a lot about the doomsday change, a lot of, we're going to run out of everything and everything's going to fall away in order for us to survive. This is who we used to be. We used to come from a consciousness where we had to survive the elements. We had very little resources. We didn't know how to domesticate. And look at where we are now. There's a lot of things going on with Gaia, with Mother Earth. And something that I keep having faith in is trusting that, yes, we are humans, but we are spiritual beings. And these spiritual beings are connected to an even bigger understanding being that connects then to the galactic. And they created Gaia for a reason. Gaia is here for a reason. And if we keep trying to mold her in the way that we think she should exist, then that's where the suffering and pain comes from. But when we start working with her, and the fact that we're building all these new technologies to completely get rid of plastic, to change our environment, climate aspect, tons of people are doing these programs of replanting the earth. Tree Sisters have a goal of planting 1 billion trees a year. Africa is building a wall of trees. Things are happening. We are listening. And that's what I want us to tell our story about. That we need to start talking about all the good things that are happening in the world. And that, yeah, there is a great change coming, but what if that change is actually what we desire? That we want less of an impact from governmental authorities of how we think that money should be used and earned and all these aspects. There is so much more going on in the world, so many incredible people that are making great impacts, and I believe in a new myth of this world, and that is what I want to share for this new moon in Gemini, that there is a new myth, and this new myth is all in connection with living like gods and goddesses of the paradise, the world in which we live in now. So when I'm talking about reverse moon, I'm talking about surrender to the goddess, surrender to the moon, to the unknown, to the mystery. For when we try and plan and create against a system instead of going with the natural flow of the universe, that is when we get it all wrong, when we go against it. We have forgotten the 7 laws of nature that we have existed for so long before that. And now we need to remember who we are. And by the end of the week, the solution to this week is 3 of discs, is getting paid well for the work that you do. When you are passionate, when you have value to everything that you do and give and to be of service to, when you let go of trying to be somebody and just be you, amazing, magical, miraculous things can occur. This is what the message of the week is that yes, there is going to be change. And yes, that there is going to be a surrender. That you need to let go of those old stories of trauma, of all of it. And you need to remember who you are. I want to swear, but I won't. I just want you to remember that there is magic, and magic is being connected to nature and to being connected to the bigger story of life. That is what I want you to remember. And Gaia has a message for you as well. And she says, heed the messenger. It is easy to ignore the messengers and the signs they show you, especially when you bring a message you do not wish to hear. But now is not the time to ignore the messengers. Do not let your fear of change or discomfort silence their voices. It is time for you to stop procrastinating, to see and to hear the truth and to do what is necessary. Heed the messenger, for the wisdom they offer is born of your own intuition and need. Shall I say more? It's time to surrender. It's time to get out of the head and get into the galactic heart of listening. You are a creator. You are a god or goddess of this world. And Gaia is your home. Be good to her. Be good to yourself. Now, dear ones, I am Virgo Queen, your transformation coach, using the tools of astrology, tarot, sound healing, and ritual to connect you back to your magic and cosmic selves. And these weekly readings are, yes, for the collective consciousness, but I offer personal readings, and this is where it gets juicy and raw and real and magical. And this is where you can see, where is the moon affecting your chart? Where do you need to make that change on a subconscious level? And how do you bring it out into the conscious life? This is where the magic happens. Magic is a change of perspective of who you are and your story. So, contact me at innerdoorways@gmail.com or check out my website at www.inner-doorways.com. And until then, be brave, dear hearts, for we are in a time of great transformation. Blessed be, blessed be, blessed be.